Hi friends, today we are going to discuss about how to create a Postgres RDS instance in AWS, and after creating the instance we are going to connect using pgAdmin IDE tool. So I'm going to create this RDS instance for the Postgres using the free tier. Okay, so which means it's not going to cost anything for you, but we have to ensure that the default VPC security group to allow the inbound rules are intact to connect the client connection. Okay, and we do not require the backup encryption other major features part of this exercise. Why? Because this is purely for learning purpose. So once the instance got created successfully, we need to ensure that endpoint port and the master DB credential, like the Postgres and its corresponding password with the DB instance name, we have to keep it as handy so that we can create the server information in pgAdmin. Once those information got created with a successful connection established, we can create a sample table, and that in that table you are going to load few records. So upon doing all this activity and successfully, we are going to delete the RDS instance so that we can avoid the cost from the AWS side. Let me take you to AWS console now. So here I have I'm already there in RDS service, AWS RDS service. So if you see here, from here I'm going to click the database option. From here you can see in the right hand side I'm going to click a create database. Okay, so after creating database, I'm using a standard create option method, and I'm going to choose Postgres as a database. So if you scroll down below, so this engine version, everything leave it as is, like the default one, we don't need to disturb. Let us take the latest version. So here when you see the templates, here only we are going to consider free tier, because both production and dev test it will be costing. So free tier is not going to cost anything for you. Okay, so now here the most critical part in the settings side, the database instance identifier. I can give my db instance. Okay, so then this Postgres credential, make it as means keep it as self-managed, and you can give any password. I'm going to give some my Postgres instance password like this. Okay, then after creating the password and instance configuration, since we already mentioned free tier account based database, we are going to create it. It's automatically, it's a bustable classes, so which means that it's a on demand and shared resource kind of thing. So it's not going to cost anything for you. And this general purpose SSD, again for the storage section, with the minimal allocation storage is a 20 GB, is the affordable one. We can keep it as is, let us not disturb the setting. And here the storage auto scaling, in case if your data is growing in large scale, this kind of setup is required, but in our situation we don't need, because it's purely learning purpose. We can uncheck that one. And connectivity here, we can leave it as is, like let us not create EC2 instance to connect with. Let's keep it as is. And like I mentioned before in my initial notes, so let us leave the VPC subnets and subnet groups, everything will leave it as the default thing. Let us not disturb the setup. And coming back to access, let's make public access yes. Why? Because outside of this AWS side, like the console or the client side, if you want to connect it, we have to give this permission as public access yes. Okay, if you don't do that, we cannot connect outside world. Okay, so we have to ensure that. And the VPC security group also, we have to keep it as default. So here the availability zone also, keep it as no preference. It will take the default one, we no need to consider. And certificate authority, don't touch this part as well. And expand this additional configuration database port. This is the default port consider for Postgres 5432. Leave it as is. And this database authentication, coming back here, you can change it, but this recommendation for learning purpose, keep it as password authentication. And monitoring anything, if you want to do it, it's not required again. And additional configuration, anything. Okay, and here the key part is, give the database instance like my db init or something. You can give it. This is a key thing you have to keep it in mind. What is the initial database name you are going to give it, and database parameter group, those things and all you can leave it. And enable automated backup, no, which is, this is not required for us. And enable encryption, this also you can uncheck it. So enable auto mirror version, you can uncheck it, this also not required. And don't worry about the monthly cost, we are going to delete it anyway quickly, so it's going to be removed. But you may ask the question, it's a free tier account, why this is appearing? But for storage they are looking it, and db instance, so you don't need to worry about that, you can ignore. Okay, so create a database. Now we are clear with the initial setting. So now this portion, okay, this one the creation will take. Now the instance is coming up, let's wait for some more time. Okay, I think the instance is ready to use it now. Let's try to check it now. Okay, so now, okay, okay, now the instance is ready. We can start using this RDS instance with the client setup now. Okay, so now let's collect the endpoint information, port and credential, everything. So let me launch the pgAdmin IDE tool here. Yeah, so my pgAdmin tool. Okay, so now let me add this AWS cloud server information with the new server setup. Like I'm going to add register server with AWS Postgres, okay, as the instance. And I'm going to give the connection host name here, that endpoint which I'm seeing here, and the port is 5432, and the master username is Postgres, and the password I have is this one. And okay, and the db name we have to collect it properly. So go, take it to the section configuration, and this is the db name, the initial db name. So we supposed to change the maintenance db here. Okay, then connect it here. Okay, now, so we were able to successfully configure the server with the database instance whatever we have created. Now then the finishing step is, let's launch the querying tool here, and I'm going to create a sample table. Create table, my table, uh, my test underscore table. Okay, table num integer, table disk varchar 100. I'm giving one dummy table here for our testing purpose. Okay, the table got created. Now let me add some data on it. My test table values 1 test 1. Okay, uh, the value got created. Okay, insert into my test underscore table values to test 1. Okay, yeah. So now if you go and expand this database and go to, it's by default it will go and settle in public schema. So go to public schema and expand the table. Okay, so here's the table what we created. So you can view the data. So you can see the data what you created. So if you want to drop the table, you can drop the table as well. So okay, so now let's disconnect this server instance. So okay, disconnect from the server. Okay, so now let's go back to the AWS console again. Now we are going to terminate the database whatever we have created in the other services. Okay, because our the main goal is achieved, like the RDS free tier Postgres database have been created, the endpoint, the port and the database instance, everything we took it post creation, and that information using that we are able to successfully create a server and the database able to launch it, and after launching it we created a dummy table also for our testing purpose to validate everything is working intact. Okay, now let's delete the instance to avoid the casting, like otherwise it's be unnecessary casting for you, right? So I'm deleting that instance. We do not want any final snapshot. We are simply acknowledging for agreeing for deleting this particular instance. Okay, that's it. So now it's going to delete it. It will take few more minutes. I'm not going to waste your time. Okay, hope this video is really helpful how to create a Postgres RDS instance is fully managed service from AWS. Thanks for watching my video. If you have any questions, please reach me out. Please subscribe my channel. Thank you. Bye.